Hey everyone, it's Dustin from Journey to Master. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about whether or not you should be an electrician. If you don't have anything else going on in your life, you're looking for a job that's going to pay better than, this whatever random jobs you're jumping around to, and you don't feel like you have any opportunities to get yourself to the next place. Today, I'm going to talk about why you should consider being an electrician and how it can change your life. So stay tuned. This is a really good episode. Today, I want to talk about being an electrician. Like, should you be an electrician? The answer is yes. Being an electrician is awesome. If you don't know where you're going in life and you're kind of just like floating from job to job and you're young and you're like, fuck it, I'm just going to try something new, dude, try this. You don't have to have a degree for it. You don't have to have a bunch of money for it. You don't have to have a killer resume of all the shit that you've done through. You can literally be like fresh out of jail and haven't worked ever, and you can get a job somewhere as an electrician. People just need hands. They need people with tools to do simple stuff at first. And then the longer that you do this, the more you can move up and get licenses and actually like make a really decent wage. So my whole rant is today's age of college, universities is broken. We all know that. Like, going to college costs $200,000 a year, and my 12-year-old son, I don't know how the hell I'm going to pay for college. Well, I'm not, because I don't believe in, like, daddy just providing everything for the kid. I believe that he needs to hustle his fucking ass off and work and put himself through college if he wants to do that. Different rant for a different day, but think about this for a minute. All right, so say you start being a journeyman at the same time that one of your buddies goes into college. In 2 years, they could have an associate's degree with a few of the math and English classes that they've taken, maybe one class about something actually pertaining to like a degree that they're going to be involved in. But in that same 2 years, you work 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's all you do is this one trade. Like, you learn so deeply and intimately about a job that you're doing. So in that 2 years, you have far surpassed your buddy with his associate's degree that isn't doing dick in the field with what he's learning. So then you go another 2 years, your buddy gets their bachelor's degree. They've taken 2 more years worth of a bunch of bullshit classes that don't pertain really to anything. There's probably a lot more specialized stuff in that second 2 years of, what they're actually going to do with their degree, but there's no real world experience. They're still taking a lot of like social sciences and humanities courses and stuff in that meantime. So still, after 4 years of paying out the ass, while 4 years you've been busting your ass, you could be a journeyman. And at a journeyman level, you start getting paid a really decent wage, and you start really forging a way for yourself. And you didn't have to pay anything. You worked for the same amount of time that they worked on their thing. And after 4 years, like, you're set, you're good. You can start making a really good wage. Your shit's really starting to get together, and you've got 4 years of every fucking day experience. So say another 2 years goes by. That same buddy decides that he wants to go get his master's degree. Now, a master's degree, you're going to get a lot more specialized education. At that point, he's probably going to have had to be an intern somewhere just to get his bachelor's degree, and he's just getting in at the ground floor of, working at a company. Whereas you, at that same point, are going to test for your master electrician's license. And at that point, you can own your own company. At that point, you've got so much knowledge and so much experience over the years that you really know your shit. I mean, you know your shit well. And owning your own company, you can set your wages, and the sky's the limit. Your buddy that just got his master's degree is going to have to work an extra, 5 years before they're going to get like a really good position with really good, not fresh out of college pay. And then they might have to work another 5 years, 5 to 10 years to be able to be like a director of the company, or to like manage multiple people and get paid really, really well. But in that 5 to 10 years that they're trying to gain the experience you've already gained down here, you're going to be 10 years into running your business, and you're going to have multiple guys running for you. I mean, at this point, you're making lots of money, and your shit is well put away. So what's the point? What's the purpose of really going to school to pay $200,000 to get something that not only are you going to have to go to school for 6 years for, but you're going to have to do another 6 to 10 years worth of working for a company to try to gain the experience lost by going to school. In the meantime, you could just work your fucking face off and learn everything there is to know. Like, ask questions, like, really absorb this. You can live an amazing life. So for me, once I started taking this shit seriously and not just being a helper. By the way, being a helper, I was paid $15 an hour to start. I didn't know shit. Like, I had done a couple of little electrical things with my dad, but I didn't know anything about electricity. And I started out at $15 an hour. Once I got my residential wireman's license, which was the 2-year license, I was making $18 an hour. Then I got my journeyman's license at my 4-year mark, and I was making $25 an hour. And then I got raises up until I was at $30 an hour. And so right when I tested for my master's license, I was already making $30 an hour as a journeyman. And at that point, I just decided to go out on my own. You know, I'd rather not be getting paid only $30 an hour working for someone else when I could be making way more than that working for myself. I'm working 7 days a week, all hours of the day anyways. Like, I might as well be my own boss. So, anyways, in my life, like, I really started taking this seriously once I figured out that I could get that residential license. In Austin, Texas, I don't know if everywhere does this, but in Austin, Texas, at least, they have a 2-year license. Most places don't. They just have apprentice. You do 4 years of apprenticeship, and then you become a journeyman. Some places it's 5. I've heard, like, on the East Coast, there's some places where you have to have 5 years of experience. Anyways, point being is, I started taking this stuff seriously at around year 2. Like, actually really liking it and really starting to try to learn and, like, grab books from half-price books or Amazon and start to read about this stuff. And then I passed my residential license, and I was like, I thought I was hot shit. I got a helper under me. So I was like, oh, whoa. I get to actually teach somebody. And let me tell you, when you teach people something, you learn way more at a way faster rate than you ever did before. Teaching just, like, forces you to have to really think about things yourself so that you can explain them to somebody else. So I really got a lot out of that. And then once I started digging and digging and digging, I knew, like, fuck yeah, I'm going to be journeyman. Like, that's the next step for me to be a master, so I want to do that. And once I became a journeyman and I started doing a lot of service work and running into problems and having to fix other people's shit, it goes from being a really small pond of residential work to being a massive ocean of, like, commercial and industrial and solar and, like, the electronic side of it. There's just so much out there. And then being a master, like, really being able to just legally pull permits and do your own shit. That's what I fell in love with. So this is the most, I guess, like, stable I've ever been in my life. I've always been like a jumping from job to job, kind of taking whatever, just floating along kind of person. I've always been working my ass off, but because I've just jumped around, I've never really gotten anywhere. But since I stuck with this, and it's been 9 years of me doing it, I mean, I own a house, I have a wife, I have a kid, like, I have stability, I own both of the vehicles, like, flat out that I have. And I'm not trying to brag about, like, look at all the shit that I've got. I'm just saying that I came from being a broke-ass single dad, having to pay child support, only making 50% of what I brought. My paychecks, you know, at 100%, quarter of it went to the government, quarter of it went to baby mama. So I was only ever bringing home helper pay as a journeyman. That's all that ever saw my bank account. So I have fucking struggled for years and years and years. But I finally got to the point where my shit's good. You know, like, I don't have to worry about going to the store and getting a fucking sandwich and my bank account being dry. And so, like, financially, it was the best decision I ever made to stick with being an electrician. Electricians are some of the highest paid trades. You know, like, just in the construction industry. Electricians, you have to be smart. I mean, you have to be a thinker. You have to really be able to think about, like, circuit logic and think outside the box, because a lot of this stuff is theoretical. I mean, we don't know what electrons are. We don't even know if they exist. Like, the thing that makes electricity happen is this electron theory. And some guy somewhere were like, hey, there's these little balls floating around this atom. Nobody's ever fucking seen one. So all of this is just theory. But for you to be smart enough to be able to read books and talk to people and troubleshoot and problem solve and try to figure out something that's mysterious and theoretical, you kind of have to be smart. And you're working with something that can kill people. I mean, the work that you do, if you do shit work, you can fucking kill people. You can kill yourself if you're just not paying attention. So it requires like a higher echelon of person to be able to just kind of do the day-to-day. Now, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of helpers out there that are just fucking ditch diggers. That's all they do. They got a shovel in their hands every day, and they run pipe. Or somebody tells them, grab a roll of wire, and run this wire over here, run that wire over here, drill some holes. And that's all they ever do. There is that element of this trade. And if you just like to work your ass off, and you don't want to have to think about all of the shit and the theory, it's still a really good thing to do. It's gratifying. Being able to work outside, if you want to go smoke a cigarette or bullshit for a little while. I mean, like, kind of, you get to control your day. You're not stuck in a cubicle. You know, you don't have a boss just, oh, well, that's not true. There's some fucking really bad electrical companies out there with people that are just pricks. But anyways, all the way around, this whole industry, it being an electrician long enough really changes you. I mean, not only do you have to think more, and you have to be a lot more organized, and you have to work with something that's really dangerous. So like all of those things, just overdoing this long enough, because you do it at work every day, you start doing it at home every day, and it really kind of changes your perspective. And not only that, working with people every day, you get to know some cool ass people. You get to know some shitheads too, and it's like that everywhere you work. But I'll say, out of the like 58 different jobs that I've had throughout my life, this is the one job that I have met the most wise, respectable people that I've been able to look up to as leaders and as men. And it's grown me from being a punk ass kid that was locked up, you know, broke off his ass, partying. I didn't give a fuck about where I was going. I was just going. And it changed me to like a really responsible person that like thinks about how to treat people and how to give respect to people, and thinks about like trying to help other people get up to a certain point so that they can be stable. It's just helped like groom me as a man, being around all these other men. I mean, there's been apprentices that have worked for me, and I can tell when they're looking at me or they look up to me and they're like, man, this guy's my age and he's really got his shit together. You know, he knows a bunch of stuff. He's running jobs. Like, I want to be at that level. And so being able to help somebody do that is a huge, it's a benefit to me in my life. I get a kick out of it, but it makes me better at what I do, being able to offer that to somebody else. And I was that kid too, man. I was an electrician that was sitting over in that right seat, and, well, left for you, right for me. But I was that kid sitting over in the right seat and, you know, looking up at the journeyman that I was working for and being like, dude, this guy knows some shit. And everything that comes out of his mouth is like the smartest fucking thing I've ever heard. And I'm some dumb kid. Like, what the fuck am I doing? But I wanted to be that, you know, like I wanted to be like that dude. And so there's a lot of that happens in this industry. And especially like looking up to a master electrician when you're an apprentice, you're like, this guy's fucking Tesla. You know, this guy's really got his shit together, and I want to be that. So I've even been most of the companies I've worked for, I've been the 30-year-old kid working around a bunch of 55 to 65-year-old guys, because this trade is saturated with 55-year-old dudes. The average age of an electrician is actually 55. Look that up, check it out, I'm not lying. So there's a huge shortage of young guys. And so that's really why I'm making this video. Sorry it took me 13 minutes and 28 seconds to get to the fucking point. Be an electrician, man. We need electricians. There's never going to be a point in our society where electricity is not going to be important, and we're not going to need people who know how to fix it. Think about everything that uses electricity. Cell phones. Like, cell phones, people need to be able to fix cell phones, make cell phones. People need to be able to fix automotive electrical systems. Houses, buildings, industrial complexes, entire cities. Everything around us is run off of electricity. There's never going to be a point where an electrician is not needed. So if you get into this, it's a wide enough field that if you wanted to just like focus on solar work and learn that for a couple of years, and then you wanted to go into industrial and learn motor controls and ladder logic, and there's so many different directions you could go. If you just want to fix motors and take motors apart, I mean, there's a lot to do, and it doesn't sound glorifying. It doesn't sound like 26-year-old CEO driving a Lexus, because it's not, man. It's an honest, respectable job that can get you from really shitty to doing pretty fucking okay. And you don't have to pay for years to do it. You're not going to graduate college and be in debt for the next fucking 20 years trying to pay off a degree while you went to school for electrical engineering, but you're working at Pluckers or you're working at fucking Burger King, not actually doing anything with your degree like most people that I know. It's a good way to go. And so if you're young and you're trying to figure out something to do with your life, you're trying to figure out somewhere to go, I really urge you to get into the electrical trade. We need electricians. Right now, if you have a journeyman's card, it's fucking gold. Anywhere in Austin, Texas at least, if you take a journeyman's card, even if you're a fresh journeyman and you go to a company, you can pretty much name your wage. You can get a company truck. A lot of places have company cell phones, health insurance, retirement benefits. Like, you're set the fuck up. And so having a journeyman's card right now is like gold, and a lot of guys don't realize that, but it's hard to find journeymen. Even me, just trying to find people to hire, it's really fucking hard to find them because they're all paid and happy. And the other thing too is, if you are a journeyman who is fortunate enough to have experience in the construction trade and in the service trade, you are worth your weight in gold, my friend, because when the construction shit goes down, which it will in another few years, it's going to go down again. Everybody, all the rich people out there, hang on to their money when the economy tanks. They don't go buy new houses and build new buildings. They just fix the shit they've got. And so if you can, when you're doing all this construction work and everything slows down and you can transition over to service work, you're still going to be making money. And then when everybody starts, money's thrown around again and everybody's building again, just transition over the other side. So like, you're always needed all year round. I've seen some companies that have gone under or that have had work slow because I feel like they specialized in one specific thing. Worked for a company that all they did was massive, like multi-million-dollar custom homes. Well, the fucking economy tanked in 08, 09. And they couldn't pay their guys. They didn't have enough work because all these rich people that they had relied on weren't spending their money. And I've also seen service companies that have gone out of business. All they've ever done is service work. And when shit's booming out there and everybody just wants to buy, there's not as much service work, fixing work. It's always going to be around, but it's not as high as it is. So just that shift in the economy, a lot of guys don't know how to handle that. So a lot of guys go out of business, but there's still always a need. There's never a point where you're not going to get a phone call from some motherfucker out there that needs an electrician. So, that's my whole spiel, man. Just be an electrician. If you're a young dude, be an electrician. If you're an old dude, be an electrician. Just everybody be a fucking electrician. I promise you that, in the next 20 years, the plumbers and the AC guys and the electricians are going to be the next millionaires, because there's only going to be like 10 of us kids that have been doing it, We need guys coming up in the ranks. So, despite what you may hear, being an electrician is actually really fucking cool, man. And it's changed my life. And that's it. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you listen to the podcast. I put all of these episodes from YouTube into podcasts. I literally just rip the fucking audio from a program. I think it's called YouTube to mp3.com or something like that. So I just rip all the audio, stick it into iTunes, stick it into, Stitcher, and that way y'all can listen to this if you'd prefer, since these things are like 20 minutes long, 30 minutes long. If you'd prefer just to listen to the audio of all of these instead of watch all the videos, go to iTunes, type in Journey, #2, Master. All these podcasts are going to come up. So each time I put one on YouTube, it's also going to be up on the podcast. So let me know what you think. Please subscribe if you like it. As Gary Vee says, if you want to 1-star this shit, fine. But if you want to 5-star it, even better. All right, guys. Have a good day. Bye.